While millions of people are refreshing their Amazon cart, clicking buy now on things they don't need and feeling that rush of dopamine with every purchase, there's a small group of people who experience money completely differently. And according to neuroscience, their brains might actually be wired for wealth. Stay with me because what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you see the difference between rich and poor. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Being broke isn't about discipline. It doesn't mean you lack willpower. And it definitely doesn't mean you're bad with money. But there is something fundamentally different happening in your brain compared to wealthy people. And it has everything to do with dopamine. Let me introduce you to Sarah. She's 34 years old. She makes $87,000 a year working in marketing. By every measure, she should be building wealth. She's smart, she's educated, she works hard. But every month, she's broke. Not because she's irresponsible, because her brain is chasing dopamine and she doesn't even know it. Here's what her Monday looks like. She wakes up at 6:47 a.m. Before she even gets out of bed, she checks her phone. Notification from Instagram. Dopamine hit. She scrolls for 4 minutes. 17 more dopamine hits. She sees an ad for a coffee maker. Save 35% today only. Her brain doesn't think about whether she needs it. Her brain thinks, reward available. Act now. Another hit. She doesn't buy it yet, but the anticipation is already there, sitting in her prefrontal cortex, waiting. By 7:15 a.m., she's at Starbucks. $6.50 for a latte. Dopamine hit. She feels good for exactly 6 minutes. By 9 a.m., she's at her desk. Amazon notification. Your card is waiting. She clicks. Another hit. By noon, she spent $73 on things she'll barely remember by Friday. Not because she's weak, because her brain has been trained to chase dopamine through spending. And here's the brutal math. Sarah makes $87,000 a year. That's $5,107 per month after taxes. Rent takes $2,300. Car payment, insurance, gas, $620. Student loan, $340. Utilities, phone, subscriptions, $280. Food, groceries, $450. She has $2,227 left. That should be building wealth. But here's what actually happens. Monday, Starbucks $6.50. Lunch out $14. Amazon Impulse $43. Tuesday, Starbucks $6.50. Uber Eats $30. Online course she'll never finish 97 cents. Wednesday, Starbucks $6.50. Happy hour $38. Zara just browsing $84. By the end of the month, she spent $1,147 on dopamine hits. Small purchases, forgettable moments, gone. She has $580 left, and she wonders why she's not getting ahead. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do so many people chase dopamine through spending? Humans evolved to seek immediate rewards. For thousands of years, finding food meant survival. Eating it now, not later, kept you alive. Your brain learned to release dopamine when you got something immediately. That banana you found? Eat it before someone else does. That shelter you discovered? Claim it now. Delay meant death. And shopping, it's basically modern hunting with better packaging and free returns. When someone clicks buy now, their brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical, the same molecule that makes you crave food, sex, and drugs. Chemically, your brain doesn't distinguish between eating when you're starving and buying shoes when you're bored. It's all reward. It's all survival. Their brain literally gives them a hit for spending money. But here's where it gets fascinating. Wealthy people experience dopamine differently. They've trained their brains to release dopamine from control, not from chasing. Their identity isn't tied to immediate gratification. They're more future-focused. They're more likely to say, I don't need to feel good now to feel complete. They've learned, often through necessity or mentorship, to rewire their reward system. To find pleasure not in the transaction, but in the accumulation. Not in the spending, but in the growing. And there's actual research on this. A Stanford study from 2018 found that people with high net worth showed significantly higher activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for delaying gratification. They literally have more blood flow to the part of the brain that says wait. Translation, they've strengthened the neural pathways that control impulses, like a muscle that's been trained. Every time they delayed a purchase, they made it easier to delay the next one. Every time they chose investment over consumption, they reinforced the circuit. But wait, it gets even more interesting because what happens in the brain of someone chasing dopamine is legitimately concerning. That feeling when you see a notification on your phone, that anticipation, That's dopamine firing before you even check it. It's not the reward itself, it's the possibility of reward. That's what makes it so addictive. People who chase dopamine get that same hit dozens of times per day. Every ad, every limited time offer, every cart is waiting, every only 3 left in stock. Constant microdoses of anticipation and reward. It's literally the same mechanism as addiction. Studies using fMRI scans show that impulsive spending activates the same reward centers as gambling and substance abuse. The nucleus accumbens lights up. The ventral tegmental area fires. The same brain regions that make a cocaine addict crave their next line make you crave your next purchase. And here's the kicker. The uncertainty is what makes it so powerful. You don't know if that purchase will make you happy. That unpredictability keeps the dopamine flowing. It's intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive reward schedule known to psychology. The same principle that makes slot machines devastatingly effective. A slot machine doesn't pay out every time. If it did, you'd get bored. It pays out randomly. Sometimes you win big, sometimes you win small, sometimes nothing. That randomness keeps you pulling the lever. Your brain doesn't distinguish between winning at slots and winning that 40% off deal. Both feel like you beat the system. Both give you a hit. Both keep you coming back. People who control dopamine, their systems simply aren't triggered by immediate consumption. And this might be partially learned, partially genetic. Research from UCLA suggests that variations in the DRD4 gene, specifically the 7 repeat allele, can predict how much someone delays gratification versus seeks immediate rewards. People with this variant are more likely to be novelty-seeking, impulsive, risk-taking. Think about that. Your complete inability to not click buy now might have a biological component. Your DNA might be wired for chasing. But here's the good news. Genes load the gun. Environment pulls the trigger. You're not doomed. But there's another layer. People who chase dopamine engage in something psychologists call hedonic adaptation, also known as the hedonic treadmill. When they get something new, they feel amazing for exactly 72 hours. Then the novelty wears off. The dopamine receptors downregulate. The baseline drops. They need something else, something bigger, something newer. They're on a treadmill, constantly needing more just to feel normal. This is why people who make $50,000 want $75,000. And people who make $75,000 want $120,000. And people who make $120,000 want $200,000. The number changes, but the feeling doesn't. Because they're chasing, not controlling. People who control dopamine don't play that game. They've learned to generate dopamine from progress, from building, from delayed wins. From watching a number in their brokerage account grow by 0.3% this week. That doesn't sound exciting. But to them, it's a hit, a small one. But sustainable, repeatable, compounding. Their self-esteem isn't dependent on the next purchase. It's stable, built on things inside their control. Their dopamine comes from watching their investment accounts grow, not from unboxing packages. From saying no, not from saying yes. From control, not from consumption. Now, before the comment section explodes, I'm not saying rich people are better humans. They're not morally superior. They don't love their kids more. They're not happier in every dimension. But I am saying there are legitimate neurological differences in how they experience reward. And understanding that difference is the first step to changing it. Here's something that sounds contradictory. People who chase dopamine often report feeling happier in the moment. They experience more frequent small pleasures, quick hits of joy from purchases, from food, from entertainment, from validation on social media. Moment to moment, they might actually feel better than someone controlling dopamine. So why don't people who control dopamine feel that same immediate happiness? It's about reward timing allocation. Everyone has the same dopamine system, same neurotransmitter, same receptors. But wealthy people have trained theirs to fire for different triggers. They get their dopamine hit from seeing a graph go up, from compounding interest, from assets appreciating, from systems working while they sleep. Their brains are seeking the same thing: pleasure, reward, satisfaction, meaning. They're just seeking it on a different timeline. They've learned to find pleasure in the waiting, not just the getting. And let's be honest about something else. For some people, chasing dopamine is actually a coping mechanism. Maybe they grew up poor and spending money feels like winning, like finally having enough. Maybe they're medicating stress with purchases. Maybe they're filling a void that money can't actually fill. Maybe shopping is how they dealt with anxiety, with loneliness, with feeling invisible. Your spending habits might have a backstory, a reason that goes deeper than "I just like stuff." Or maybe you just like shopping. Both can be true. Both are valid human experiences. But here's the part that explains everything about why people who chase dopamine and people who control it sometimes can't understand each other. It comes down to how you experience satisfaction. People who chase dopamine find satisfaction in the transaction, the moment of purchase, the unboxing, the newness, the "I have this now" feeling. It's immediate, real, tangible. You can touch it. People who control dopamine often find that transaction empty, a waste. They think, "Why would I trade my future freedom for 10 minutes of pleasure from something I'll forget about next week?" They're not wrong, but neither are the chasers. It's just two different philosophies about what money is for. One says money is for experiencing life now, the other says money is for building freedom later. It's just two different approaches to the same human need for reward and meaning. One group finds satisfaction in consumption, the other finds it in accumulation. Here's what researchers call present bias versus future orientation. People who chase dopamine are optimizing for right now, this moment, this feeling, this day. People who control it are optimizing for a future self they've never met, a version of themselves at 55, at 65, at 75. Neither strategy is morally superior. They're just different approaches to navigating scarcity and abundance. Different answers to the question, what is money for? Psychologist Walter Mischel, who ran the famous marshmallow test in the 1970s, found that the ability to delay gratification at age 4 predicted income at age 30. Let that sink in. A 4-year-old's dopamine control, their ability to wait 15 minutes for 2 marshmallows instead of eating one now, predicted their wealth 3 decades later, predicted their SAT scores, predicted their BMI, predicted their likelihood of addiction. One skill, measured at 4, predictive of almost everything. And here's what's really interesting. People who control dopamine often report feeling more in control of their lives. They're not slaves to the next purchase, the next notification, the next hit, the next dopamine spike. They've decoupled happiness from consumption. They've learned that satisfaction doesn't come from having more, it comes from wanting less. There's something quietly powerful about that. So what does all this mean? If you chase dopamine right now, you're not doomed to be broke forever. Your brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity is real. Neural pathways can be rewired. You can train yourself to find pleasure in different places. The rich didn't start with super brains. They weren't born with magical discipline. They just learned, often by accident or by painful necessity, to delay their dopamine hits, to let the anticipation build, to find pleasure in the waiting, not just the getting, to rewire the circuit. And you can too. Here's how. Start small. The next time you feel that urge to click, buy now, wait 10 seconds. Just 10. Count them. That's it. You're not saying no forever. You're saying not yet. Those 10 seconds activate your prefrontal cortex. They give your rational brain time to override your dopamine brain. After 10 seconds, if you still want it, fine. But often, the urge fades. That's the dopamine spike passing. That's your brain learning. The next time, wait 10 minutes. Put it in your cart, walk away, come back. Still want it? Maybe you do. Often you won't. The next time, wait 24 hours. The Amazon Save for Later button is training you to control dopamine. Every time you delay, you strengthen the circuit. You're building the neural pathway that says, I control my brain. My brain doesn't control me. The next time you feel that urge to click, buy now, and you pause, just for those 10 seconds, you're not depriving yourself. You're not missing out. You're not being cheap. You're training your brain to control dopamine instead of chasing it, and that might be the most valuable skill you ever learn. More valuable than any degree. More valuable than any salary increase, because it doesn't matter how much you make if your brain is wired to spend it all chasing the next hit. Remember, you're not broken. You're not weak. You're not bad with money. You're just playing by rules that were designed to keep you chasing. Every ad, every notification, every limited time offer, every cart is waiting email, it's all engineered by people who understand your dopamine system better than you do. They've hired neuroscientists. They've run thousands of A/B tests. They've optimized every pixel to trigger your reward system. Once you understand the game, you can change how you play it. You can go from being the target to being the player. From being the mouse in the maze to being the one who sees the maze from above. If this resonated with you, you need to understand why the salary trap keeps people broke no matter how much they earn, and why your income is almost irrelevant compared to where your dopamine comes from. That's the next piece of the puzzle.